from Seattle, Washington. It's time for Coffee and Cosmos with Robin. My name is Robin Fritz, and welcome. I'm thrilled to be able to spend this time here with you today. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about grief and loving on, okay? And I invite you to join in with questions and comments. I'm also taking a couple of quick readings for people. We'll do a guided meditation with Fallon and a crystal of the week, and I'll tell you about my upcoming webinar series. But again, we are going to talk a little bit today about grief and loving on. Hi, Laurel. I don't do cards because I guess I don't. You know what? That's a good idea, though. I should practice with those. They're fun. But if you have something that you'd like a quick reading on, I love to hear from you. Angela, welcome. Hi, thanks for joining us today. So I want to talk about grief and loving on, not living on, but loving on, as a result of some things that are going on right now with clients and with me, and also with all of us. Not a mistake, Laura. I just, I don't use them. I've had a couple people ask me about it. I actually am researching and looking for a card deck. So if you have one you find that's really interesting, I'd love to hear about it because they are fun. And I do have a couple that I play with. But let's start with a guided meditation with the Crystal Fallon. And, okay, let me write you down. You want, and how old is your daughter? And hi to all those who have just joined us. So again, we always start with a guided meditation with the Crystal Fallon. Fallon is citrine Lemurian quartz. Oh gosh, you know what? All right. So you can get a really good look, and I can see a faint yellowish cast. I'm not sure what other people see when they're looking straight at it. Isn't he beautiful? Fallon is an ancient power crystal, but also citrine and Lemurian quartz, which is a rare combination. Great, I've got that, Laurel. And I just want you to take a moment and just take a deep breath. This is helping us get grounded and balanced with this time together. Patricia, do they usually have it? Empaths, I only saw part of your question, but I'm assuming you're thinking maybe empaths have a more difficult time with grief. But we'll get back to that in a moment. I want y'all to just give yourself the permission to spend this time with us today. Here is a group where we celebrate, where we live and learn together. And just allow yourself to feel the energy of Fallon, however your intuition works most strongly. So seeing, hearing, feeling, or simply knowing. And as you focus on him, take your attention to the top of your head, all right? And just let mind, body, and spirit come together. And as you do that, we're just going to breathe down our bodies from the top of our head to the bottom of our feet. Okay, great, Patricia. I'll talk about that. And as you do that, just feel the things that have blocked you up today, just the cares of the day, just let them go and just feel them release and leave your body, leave mind, body, and spirit so you can have this time with us together. So start at the top of your head, breathe down your face, your shoulders, your chest, your hips, your knees, and your feet. The top of your head to the bottom of your feet. And as you connect with Fallon's energy, and especially if you are a feelings-oriented intuitive, you can feel that energy just clearing out that block. And now if you imagine Fallon as a gold light rotating at your feet outside your body, as he moves up from the bottom of your feet to the top of your head, you can welcome in this gold healing light to just flood your body with healing warmth, with love and connection. With this time with us today. So moving up from your feet, past your knees, your hips, your chest, your shoulders, your face, and the top of your head, your crown chakra. Now I know you might feel a little dizzy. The crown chakra is wide open with Fallon. And that's okay. We'll close it down at the end of our time together today. So I have a couple of people have already asked some questions, so we'll look at those in a moment. But I want to spend a little bit of time talking today about grief and what I call loving on. You know, we always tell us that we're supposed to live on after grief. And, you know, sometimes we don't really feel like that. And let's talk about why and what that means. So in the last few weeks, I've worked with a lot of people who are struggling to process grief, to move on from grief, to let grief be part of their life, but not to overwhelm their lives. Now, I know you've had to pick up your heart and, oh, yes, Angela, yes. And so, you know, and it's hard. And, but recently I've had some people who are just really stuck in grief and have not been able to move on at all. And, you know, there's no judgment on that. There's just some points that I want to, you know, go over with you briefly, especially as an intuitive and spiritual consultant, especially as a medium. I deal with grief all the time, my own as well as my clients. And that's why I'd like to share some thoughts with you and share with you something very special. On Thursday, March 8th, see, I'm still dealing with my grief. On Thursday, March 8th, it will be Good Morning, Mary. Thursday, March 8th, it will be 6 years since I lost my beloved soulmate, my Cavalier King Charles Spaniel Murphy Brown. We were lucky. We knew that she was dying, which with the type of cancer that she had, most people don't know until the day of. That's how it presents itself. But we had 6 weeks together. We had 6 weeks to do what I call what she called walking the mystery. And I wouldn't trade those 6 weeks for anything but having her back in her body alive and well. But that's not going to happen. And you know, and we all know that. But we were extremely close. And we realized that one of the reasons we came back together again in my lifetime is that we needed to work on our energy boundaries. I know I go over this all the time, and it's really true. Murphy was a very strong empath, and she brought past life things into this life, and she really needed to learn how to deal with that empathy and how it affected her energy. And I learned too by what? Yes, thank you, Patricia. And I learned too by watching her and working on my own process. And that's why we teach things like energy boundaries and how to work with grief. But we also learned how to love each other, and we are continuing to love each other even 6 years after she's died. And I wanted you to know that I'm no stranger to loss. I was 9 when my 14-year-old brother died of leukemia. And he was the one person I never thought could die, even though I was born and raised Catholic, and that's pretty much all they do is tell you about dying. I don't know why, but at least that's what they were doing back then. And there were a series of losses over the years. I lost my parents 10 months apart. And after Murphy died, I lost those 3 animals, Murphy, Alki, and Grace the cat, 2 dogs and a cat, almost 2 years apart, 2012, 2014, 2016. All of these are great losses. And I now have new animal family members. As some of you may know, Ollie, the Cavalier King Charles Spaniel, is 2.5. He's the reincarnation of Alki, and in a sense Murphy, because Alki and Murphy, my 2 Cavaliers here at the same time, were the same soul in 2 different bodies. And Grace the cat came back as my cat Karis, the Russian blue, which surprised me. I was not expecting that. So my kids now are, good morning, Linda. Thanks for joining us. My kids now are reincarnations. It happens more often than we know. But while they are reincarnations, they are not that same personality. They are not that same body having those experiences. So loss continues and grief continues, and that's the way of life. I can tell you that grief never gets easier. We all know that. And I can tell you, if you're grieving the loss of animals, it's sometimes harder to lose animals than it is to lose people. not because we love them more, but because other people don't understand the loss of animals as well as they understand the loss of people. So we have to deal with the disapproval of those who think that we shouldn't be grieving because they're animals. And I say just walk away from those people. But then, I can get a little feisty sometimes. So you know that in this community and with me, you will get the support to deal with grief. And here's the thing. Yes, Angela, it is true. Here's the thing. There is no timetable for grief, okay? We all grieve at our own pace. We all do what we have to do to learn to live with the simple fact that those we loved aren't here anymore, that we will never, ever get our arms around them again. That is the truth. We know that's the truth. That doesn't mean we can't connect with them at some point, either on our own, which I teach my clients and in workshops, or through a medium, or through whatever intuitive and spiritual practice you have that works for you. And while it's true that we all grieve at our own pace, we all have to move on. And yes, Angelique, I know you know. At some point, we have to move on. And I call it loving on, because once death steps in, we know that we and our beloveds are in different realms. For our soul journey to continue, yes, it does, Patricia. Grief does visit often. And you're watching me right now, remembering Murphy, and still 6 years later, tearing up. And our dead, our souls continue to evolve. The dead continue to evolve, but we're in different realms. Even if they're not around us, even if they come to visit us, sometimes they're in a different realm and they realize how big the universe really is. They can see how much there is to do. They can look back on all of their past lives and see how their soul has grown and matured, or maybe sometimes just stayed still and just enjoyed whatever it was doing, whatever. Our souls are always growing. And they're moving on, or they're trying to. It's hard for them to miss us. And we're here grieving them because we don't see what they're seeing in the afterlife. And I see the afterlife because I work with my dad, who died in 1994, and my mom 10 months later. And so I see what the dead are up to. And that's awesome. But here's what I want to work with you on today is loving on ourselves. And a lot of people I've worked with recently are so stuck in grief that they have not moved on. And I can't tell you when the best time is, whether it's a week or 10 weeks or a year or more. But if a lot of time has gone on and you're stuck and you're not moving on, you're not going out and having new experiences, you're not putting grief in the place where it has a place in your life, but it's not your entire life, then you're stuck. And again, as I learned with Murphy, that's where our energy boundaries are locked up, and that's where grief locks us up. And grief is, again, the process of loving on, of continuing to grow, continuing to love our dead and to love ourselves and to support ourselves and them in our new journey in the world, in the universe, by ourselves. So we can continue to love our dead and ourselves by moving forward step by step. And I don't call it living on, I call it loving on, because really that puts it in the right context, right? Because you're never going to stop loving them. They're never going to stop loving you. We're just in different places. And don't let anybody tell you have to stop loving your dead, because that's insane. Why would you do that? They're part of your life. They're part of the life that we're living now. And again, as I talk over and over again, our lives, our bodies are here for our souls to grow and to have new experiences, and learning to love and to let go and to continue to love on is part of that experience. So if you think I'm preaching to you, at least I come from a place of knowing from a very young age all about grief and all about getting stuck in grief and all about having to figure out a way to continue to move on. We need to get back into the world. We need to have fun. We need to remember our beloveds, and we need to love on, because grief can't stop us. But thinking of grief as this process of continuing to love on helps us put it in perspective. And it helps our dead to look at us and say, okay, I guess at some point they're going to be okay, and I guess I can be okay, and it's okay for me to move on and to create a new life without them. And that life can be good. My life with my current animals is great. Do I still miss those others? Yes. Angelique, right. You're loving on, and the difficulty is loving yourself. I can think about all the things that I did wrong with all the people that I've loved in my life, and I'm thinking about it wrong, because you can also think about the things we did right, or the things that we learned, right, and the things that they learned, and the sure and certain knowledge that we'll see them again at some point, when we pass on too. Because that's the way it is with soul groups and soul families. And this is a long, convoluted subject that can go on and on and on. But see life as a series of events, some fun, some not at all fun, and that we continue to experience because we're souls who choose to love on and to move on and to let grief be part of our lives. So this Thursday, March 8th, I'm going to take time out to remember Murphy and to celebrate us and to celebrate what I learned from her, what she learned from me, because she tells me she learned a couple things, like how to be comfortable in our bodies, because I'm handicapped. I've had a lot of health issues, and I learned to create a physical environment that was comfortable. But we also learned to love each other in a way I didn't know we could. I didn't know things about loving each other in bodies, regardless of the body, because we love that soul. I learned so much, and they learned from me, and we learned as a family. And that's what families are all about, right? And that's what your family is too. So if you've loved someone and lost them, know that grief is okay, but grief will also help us move on by loving on, by continuing to move forward and loving. And that brings up again the question of energy boundaries, and I'll get to that in a moment. But I want to also talk to you a little bit about the crystal of the week, which I've chosen to support us today, and that is a crystal Larimar. So let's see if you have to learn how to do this. You can see this. There you go. This ring is a Larimar ring, Larimar, and here's a Larimar stone. I love that light blue color. I always find blue a nice soothing color. But Larimar is a stone of love and joy and peace. So it's a great crystal to turn to if you're grieving, if you're having trouble to moving on. I know, gorgeous, right? And it can be very expensive, but I bought this particular ring from Kim Valines, who now sponsors my radio show over at Earthlight Rocks and Gems in Kirkland. And I bought this several years ago. And she has all kinds of older pieces of Larimar, which a lot of people don't. And I love the crystal. And I love the individual stones. You can stick them in your pocket and walk around with them. But Larimar brings love and joy and peace. It helps bring equilibrium, so it'll help balance us through the grieving process. It does also help with grief. So there you go with that. And it also helps develop strong energy boundaries, which is a problem all of us have when we're dealing with grief. Is like, where does our energy end, and where does the grief end, and where does it fit into us, and how do we continue to move on? So use Larimar if you're having trouble dealing with grief, because clinging to grief can cause an energy blockage, so your energy boundaries get. Oh, okay, good. Oh, Mary, glad to hear it. And Larimar will help you to love on through your grief. We had a couple questions. We've got a few minutes left in our broadcast today. So Laura's looking at your daughter, who's 42. Just quickly, what I see here is kind of a wedge between you. It doesn't look like a permanent one. It looks like, for some reason, she's going off in a different direction. I think she feels that you may not approve of it. It looks a little bit darker than I would like. Thank you, Laura. But again, we're all on our own journey. Support her by loving her from afar. Let her know that you're there if she needs you. And this is something that she needs in terms of growing her soul. She's finally stepping into that process of growing her soul that she came here to do. And she needs to do it alone right now. That doesn't mean you can't love her from afar and just send healing energy to her. If you have more questions about that, feel free to contact me here on my page, The Practical Intuitive, or call into my radio show this afternoon, and we can talk about it a little bit more detail. The Practical Intuitive, Mind, Body, Spirit for the Real World. The phone number is 202-570-7057. If I try to type that in here, I'll probably knock myself off Facebook. So 202-570-7057, 2 Pacific Time at ohmtimes.com. And you're welcome. I hope that helps. And Patricia, the idea of empaths and grieving. Yes, Murphy and I were really strong empaths with really messed up energy boundaries. And as a result, I was feeling what she was going through. And I'm sure she was feeling what I was going through. And it was a process when I was learning to redevelop my intuitive and healing skills that I'd forgotten about from childhood and then had also brought in from previous lifetimes. And this is why I end up spending so much time working on energy boundaries, teaching it, working with people, because I know for myself that if your energy boundaries aren't solid, that you're pulling in all kinds of crap from everything around you, including the grief and the learning processes that your human and animal family members are going through. And they have to learn to do it on their own. And that's not an easy process for them. And you kind of have to stand by and watch them. I watched Murphy learn from Alki, the same soul in 2 different bodies, but in the choice of his second body as Alki, that soul just left the crap from previous lifetimes behind and worked through it. So Murphy had to learn how to let her energy boundaries fluctuate so that she could get herself physically healthy and then go and do her work, which by the time she was 5, she was healthy and she did do her work, which was amazing. So do empaths have a harder time with grief? They can, again, if your energy boundaries are too fluid so that you're just taking in everything and you're not letting things out. And a lot of people mistake empathy for the intuitive skill of clairsentience or feelings. So people whose intuition runs towards feelings, hi, thank you. I'm glad you're here, Kendi. I hope I said your name right. All of our intuitive skills are involved in learning to navigate the world, especially grief. Empathy is misplaced in many cases, and not necessarily clairsentience. It's our energy boundaries out of whack and our feeling that we need to go and take care of people and heal them, when in fact we all have to learn to heal ourselves. And we can support people simply by vibrating at the energy frequency that works for us and then inviting them to create an energy frequency that works for them. And we will go on and, oh, thank you. And we will talk about that in other Facebook Lives coming up and in my radio show and all kinds of places. But for today, I just want you to understand that if you're grieving, as some clients recently have been so stuck in their grief that they can't do anything, they can't move on, they can't even enjoy life. And that's not right. You need to think of yourself and reach out and go experience joy and love again. And it's hard, but it's possible. It is possible for all of us. And that's why I call it experience the grief and love on. Love yourself. And know that if you said something or did something and you thought might have hurt them, it's okay. Angelique, thank you for joining us from South Africa. I don't even know what time it is over there. Long ways away. Patricia, I hope that helps. Empathy is a really tough thing. And I know because I worked with it as I worked with Murphy. So let me tell you a little bit about my webinar series on energy boundaries. It starts on March 20th. It's a 5-part series. We are going to do things that I know that no one else does in this field, because my Crystal Fallon and I created a process that we can help each person individually look at what their particular energy boundary looks like, their energy field, analyze why it looks that way, and then help yourself to change it and to work with it as a living being, which it is. It's part of our body, but again, it's another discrete and aware entity that is part of us. We just don't realize it. So 9:20 p.m. Oh, that's not too bad. So being stuck in grief, feeling you go somewhere and you get upset about something, you go, I am just beside myself. Well, in actuality, you might be, because our souls and our spirits tend to like jump outside our bodies when we're scared, a form of astral traveling. If you're overwhelmed by other people's feelings and emotions, if you're just overwhelmed and worried or tired at the end of the day, if you feel like you can't get ahead, or if you're feeling like you're pretty good and you just want additional information, that's what this webinar series is all about. It is $100, but it's 5 hours over 5 weeks, plus a Facebook group, plus people are going to pair off and work together, plus every single person gets to work one-on-one with me, so nobody else will get to see your problems. And I will get to share with you personally, and we can work one-on-one to see how to shore up your energy boundaries. So I guarantee I have taught this workshop for healthcare professionals for continuing education credits. I know it works, and I know we can make it work on the webinar series. So go to the experts platform at Learn It Live, and the link is there, experts.omtimes.com/Robin Fritz. ROBYNFRITZ. It's called Managing Your Energy Boundaries. Sign up, because we're going to work really hard together. There's going to be a Facebook group. Again, you're going to be able to work with me. I set a limit of 25 in the class, but really 6 is really a lot of people. So we'll have a great time and we'll work hard. And at the end of those 5 weeks, I guarantee you will be stronger with your energy boundaries. And what is that going to do? It's going to help you grow at home and at work, and it's going to help you tap into the other things that you came here to do that you might not know about. But you will have more peace, and you will have more growth, and you will have more fun in your life, and you'll also understand the world better, and we all really need that. So I thank you again for joining me today. The process of losing our loved ones, it's just like, wow, why do we do that? Why do we love again? And I've asked myself recently, why did I do that? Why did I bring a new dog and a new cat back into my life? And then I find out, well, hey, there goes some souls coming back again. But it's hard. But loving ourselves and loving our families, loving souls, growing our lives in relation to others, that's also part of why we came here, to experience life in these fragile human bodies that we have. So I will think of all of you on Thursday as I celebrate my beautiful dog, Murphy. And I will throw in some thoughts for all of you and all of those that you've loved and lost, because we are a community and we are together. So for today, let's end with this healing technique from a goddess, where you cross your hands on your heart and just breathe into the palms of your heart, of your hand. You're not channeling energy. You're simply feeling your energy. And then if you breathe into your palms, you can just feel the air on your palms, and then just hold it out to the community. You were afraid of what as well, Patricia? And then put your palms on your hands. Thank you so much, Angela. Palms on your heart. Breathe into your palms again, and then breathe into the palms of your hands. Just feel that air, and then back on your heart. And just feel yourself getting grounded and balanced. back into your bodies. Thank you so much. Good. I'm glad you can feel that. Love yourselves. We always have to love ourselves first. That's what keeps us balanced and grounded. Thank you for joining me today. Join us next week. Join me this afternoon on my radio show. We're going to talk about the good things, the bad things, the tough things about energy boundaries. Call in if you'd like to chat. Call in if you have a question. Call in to share your thoughts and feelings. And we'll see you next week here. Same time, same place. Thank you for joining us. Take care. Yes, loving an animal again. But they all have their own unique personalities. And they're worth it. And you're worth it. Right? You're worth it. Take care.